Hello, and welcome to the Lightworker Diaries, a space for reflection, truth-telling, and soulful remembering. My name is Tiffany, and I am a truth teller, a mystic, and a mirror. These are transmissions from my heart to yours, an archive of channeled wisdom, lived stories, and the real work of becoming. May something in here stir something in you. Hello, my friend, and welcome back to the Lightworker Diaries. Today, I want to talk to you about social media. And even if you are not a business owner or entrepreneur who is using social media to grow your business, I think this will still be beneficial for you because my guess is you've been following along on this show because there is a part of you who wants to live a more fully expressed life. And I've been looking at that through the lens of social media, and I've learned a lot that I want to share with you, but I also want to translate that to real life. I want to talk about how we become fully expressed in our lives, because I think there's a lot of people like me who have been living with a filter, and a filter that has been so strong, taking it off has been one of the scariest things that we've had to do, or that we've chosen to do. So as I think about this journey with social media, there has definitely been a part of me that's like, I don't need social media to grow. That is absolutely a path. Just like you at one time could ride a horse across the country, you still could do that today. That is an option. Or you could walk, or you could fly, or you could drive a car, or you could ride a train. There are bunches of ways to go from point A to point B. Choosing to use social media to grow an audience, grow your business, or even advertise, those are just one of several ways in which you can grow or monetize. I have chosen that as my preferred method for growing my business. And I get it. I could have easily chosen warm leads, referral marketing, networking. There's a lot of other ways in which I could have done this. I could have only gone the podcast route, put myself as a guest on other people. I could have stood on stages. Like I said, there are a lot of different ways to do any and everything that we do in this world. I personally find social media wildly creative. And you wouldn't have gotten that response out of me several months ago, definitely not several years ago. I was one of those people who was like, why can't Instagram just be a photo platform like it was back in the day? But things evolve. That's just not how it is anymore. But when I look at every platform that's available, all the options that I get to choose from, Instagram is the one that still lights me up. I love people creating these short form videos that are really captivating. There are people who are wildly talented that I actually just really enjoy. And there are people who are just wildly themselves. And I love that too. In fact, I might even go as far as to say, I love that even more. So as I have been on this journey of growing my social media following, I've learned a lot. For example, each platform has a different culture. And that is something that I knew, but wasn't really consciously thinking about. So back at the beginning of this year, I started posting on LinkedIn. I had left a corporate position where I was in a leadership role. And my thought was that I was going to help other entrepreneurs with strategy, operational support, and the like. And I thought, okay, LinkedIn seems like a great choice. And I was in a mastermind group with a woman who was killing it on LinkedIn, killing it. And so I was like, I mean, if she can do it, I can too. And so I started showing up there. But LinkedIn has a culture. That culture is like walking through a corporate business park. People show up a certain way. People interact a certain way. As much as people would like it to be not vanilla, they can't stand it when you throw sprinkles on it. They're like, oh my gosh, what if my boss sees me? I can't even look at it. I'll get in trouble. It's just not acceptable. And so even though I tried to go in and be like, self-expression, I'm just going to be myself here. The moment I started to do that, people stopped looking. It's not the culture. The culture is vanilla, and that's great. That culture works great for the people who are doing LinkedIn the way that LinkedIn was meant to be designed. That's just not me. And so after several months of posting and feeling like I was just not in the right kiddie pool, I left. I just left. And I felt so worried that I had burned a bridge if I ever needed to go back to corporate and suddenly someone went onto my web presence on LinkedIn and saw it and was like, my concern was I would suddenly be unemployable. And you know what? That's probably true. And that's probably okay. We'll see. Still exploring at the moment. But as I mentioned, LinkedIn has a culture. Facebook has a culture. I haven't been on Facebook in a very long time. I've only gone on when I've joined certain programs that have communities that are on Facebook. And I can't force myself to continue showing up there. There's a lot of fear on that platform. And a lot of the stuff that would pop up in my feed was just made me feel really bad. And so I have chosen not to go on platform. I haven't on Facebook. I haven't been there, even though my content cross posts there. Instagram, I feel like that's where the people my age are hanging out. Like Instagram became a thing when we all got our iPhones and we actually started taking pictures and we could use filters and it was cool. And we stayed there when everybody else, all the kids went over to TikTok because we were like, but I'm already here. We might be risk takers, but we're also change adverse. Why break a good thing, right? So we've been hanging out on Instagram. There's been Snapchat. There's been, Blue Sky, or I think that's what it was called. That never went anywhere. X, never even got on that platform. So glad that I didn't. I've been having a ton of fun on Threads. Also come to find out that's where a lot of millennials hang out. So Instagram and Threads kind of go hand in hand. Makes sense to me. There's a lot of humor, my kind of humor on Threads, or at least I found the corner of Threads that is my kind of humor. I've this is a tangent, but I'm going to share it with you because you're my people, and I think you're going to get a kick out of this. Someone had posted, I found the ranch, and it was a road sign that said Hidden Valley with a arrow pointing like this exit. And TSA posted, fixed it, and their sign said 3.4 ounces or less. And I was like, that's funny. That's funny to me. That's cute. TSA just posted. Yeah. Okay. I'll leave that with you. So I want to go to a place where I am entertained, where I get to see creativity that makes me want to be more creative, or engage with people that make me want to laugh, make me want to expand myself, make me want to connect more. And so I have been showing up on Instagram and on Threads. I've also, as you're obviously in the know, I'm on Substack, and I have been on Substack since 2023. It started out as a blog. It is now a podcast, but that is where I've chosen to allow my creative body of work to not only plant itself, but to start to grow. So let's go back to the top. When I'm talking about social media, one of the things that's really, really getting to me right now is after decades of living in corporate America, climbing the ladder, doing all the right things, being the good girl, being the one who's supposed to do things that way and she does it that way and it's 5 gold stars, I want nothing more than to never again be told what to do. Never. There is not a cell in my body that says, let me mold myself back into something that is acceptable by you. It makes me want to throw up. And so when I started posting on social media, I was like, I'm just going to show up and I'm just going to be myself. Except that wasn't received. And I couldn't reconcile that in my mind. I could not reconcile that in my mind, that I have this belief that it is safe for me to be me and that the fullest expression of me is the greatest gift that I can give to this world. And yet, when I show up that way, nobody responds. And I have grappled with this. I have done subconscious reprogramming. I've done nervous system work. I've done mindset work. I've done beliefs work. I've done meditation, all the things. I have tried all the tools. I've emptied my toolbox onto the ground, shook it out, tried everything 3 times. And I'm still coming back to the same conclusion that I don't know if what I believe is true. And call this a dark night of the soul, call this, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, put a label on it if you need to. But I am shook by this because what I'm learning is there is a way to communicate that drives engagement. And part of me is like, okay, I get that. In fact, I was talking with my coach and she used a great metaphor. She's like, have you ever written a haiku? And I was like, I just did poetry month. So yes, in fact, I did write a haiku. And she's like, did you have to learn how to write a haiku? And I was like, yes, in fact, I did. And she's like, and so that's how you wrote a haiku, correct? And I was like, correct. And she's like, social media is the same way. And I was like, oh, but that's not to say that even though you have to create in a certain format, that you can't be yourself. The thing that I was getting hung up on is I didn't think that format was me. I thought somebody was trying to put me back in a box that I just climbed my way out of, and I was fighting tooth and nail to keep myself from having to go back. But the reality is, they're just saying this is what works best. Create it however you want within this framework. Write the haiku for social media. And it has taken some lovely deep breathing, some gentle awareness, a lot of reframing, and a lot of love to be like, well, then in that case, I guess I could become a haiku, a social media person. But I'm not going to lie, this isn't easy. And the thing that has been driving me insane is I have been on this path of saying, I will only be true to myself. I will only speak what's on my heart. And if I plug it all into AI and have AI create the post for me, that actually does really well. I posted about this the other day. I said on my feed, like, I'm all about authenticity, but it sucks when AI does me better than me. It sucks. But it's not to say that I'm doing it wrong. It's just to say that there are some minor tweaks in how I'm presenting that if I were to make small adjustments would land better for someone else. The thing that's coming up into my mind right now as I say this is, if you spoke Spanish and I spoke English and we tried to have a conversation, we probably wouldn't get very far. But even if I started to throw my 300, no, how many am I on? I'm like 1,300 days of Duolingo Spanish at you. It might not be perfect, but we'd at least be able to agree where the bathroom is and what we're going to have for dinner. We'd have a small amount of connection. And to me, that's worth it. And so on this journey of allowing myself to be the fullest expression of me, I am coming into the understanding that in some ways, I may have to learn new skills in how I'm expressing myself as authentically as I would like to be in order for that to land for the people who are listening. In order for that connection to happen, in order for the intention to be grabbed, it is best if I do it in a certain way. But that's not to say I need to perform. This isn't a performance thing. It's a format. Like, imagine putting on pants. We all do it the same way. One leg, then the other, then you pull them up, button and zip. Nobody's rebelling against pants. Well, I don't know if that's actually true, but I guess there's people who live in spandex and all kinds of other things, but that's beside the point. Let's just stay focused, okay? What I'm saying is sometimes there are people who have gone ahead and they have found things that work. And that's not to say that we can't be ourselves in the expression of the things that work. It's just to say that sometimes we have to make some modifications to make sure that people are receiving us. And I want to emphasize that. It's not as fun to just talk at people. It's social media is connection. It's social. That is the baseline of it all. It's interesting. Like, I have been on Instagram consistently for about 90 days. And then I switched over to my Lightworker Diaries account because energetically, that was just the right move. But I have been on Threads for about the same amount of time. And I am having so much fun on Threads because it's easier for me to find my people and comment on their stuff and create conversation. I'm not as distracted as I am on Instagram. I love the short form. I love to watch it, but I don't get into the comments like I do on Threads. Threads, I can get in and I've got a timer that says 30 minutes, girl, you okay? And I'm like, yeah, not now. I'm staying. This conversation's too good. But I want to just remind both of us that social media is social. If you're not having fun there, don't show up. Don't put yourself through the torture. There's no point. There's a million other ways you can build your business. There's a million other ways you can build your audience. There's a million other ways. So if it ain't fun, don't do it. There's just no point. But if you even feel the tiniest bit of creative juice there, of connective possibility, just know that they're not trying to change you. They're just trying to give you the formula that's going to set you up for success. And you're going to have to drop the ego. You're going to have to say, I can still be myself using this format. You're going to have to be willing to learn. That was the hardest thing. I was like, I don't want to learn how to do some special hook and blah, 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 blah. I started learning. I'm not going to lie. It's a ton of fun. What I'm learning is I get to be more controversial, and that's uncomfortable for me. That's what I was actually resisting. Content that everybody agrees with, nobody follows because everybody agrees with it. No one cares. Yeah, that's fact. Fine. Great. You didn't surprise me. But once you start having opinions, once you start sharing your beliefs, once you start saying the thing that no one else is willing to say, you get people who come alongside you and the ones who stand in front of you. Well, through the screen. You have to be willing to take the heat to be able to win the connection, to be able to have that deeper connection. The more opinionated I get, the more that I share what I believe to be true in the face of other people's beliefs, the more engagement I start to see. And don't get me wrong, I am scared to death for the troll patrol that's going to come through at some point in my career and tell me how terrible I am for the opinions and beliefs that I have. But you know what? Those people are always going to be out there. They will always be out there. And they will always go from person to person, spreading their little karma. And that's their life to live. We don't do it for them. We don't show up. We don't get uncomfortable. We don't speak from our hearts. We don't lean in when every cell in our body says lean back and go back to where it's safe because this is scary. We don't do all of that for them. We do it for the ones who don't even have the courage to hit like, but are listening to every single word. That choked me up a little bit because it's so true. We will never know the lives that we positively impact with our message. We will never know the people who are moved because we showed up and we did it our way. I think back to reading Glennon Doyle's Love Warrior with my eyes so filled with tears, I couldn't get through a single page without like wiping them. And I was like red-eyed and puffy for like 3 days after that. I sat and read the whole book straight through. And I will never forget when I was laying in bed, eyes, tears just dripping onto the page, pages just wrinkling with dampness, and hearing how someone said to her after she had posted one post on Facebook that said 10 things you might not know about me. And someone came over, I think it was her sister or sister-in-law, and said, you are a brilliant writer. You need to do more of this. And she got her a laptop and she would sit in her closet and she would post on Facebook every morning. Glennon Doyle has no clue who I am. And she changed my life forever. I write. what I write because she was brave enough to go first. I'm starting to write my memoir, the story that I'm like, no one's wanted to listen up until now. Why would they listen to it going forward? Because there's someone just like me who's going to read my book and do something brave. I know that to be true. And I may never know who that person is. Just like I may never know if this podcast changes you. I may never know. But I'm doing it as if it does. I'm showing up as if it will. I am continuing on this path because I can't imagine any other way. And my guess is you feel the same. Otherwise, you wouldn't still be here. And so let's be brave together. Let's commit to continuing forward, even when it doesn't make sense, even when the ego says turn around, even when the fear says don't squish me into that box, because all it's really afraid of is what people are going to think. It's not actually about the format. I want you to be successful. I want your message to be heard by millions. And if that scares you, get support. Because my dream is way bigger than me. And my guess is if you are here, yours is too. But you know what? It's going to take thick skin. It's going to take a brave heart. And it's going to take a mind that is relentless in the pursuit of the thing that you can't stop thinking about. This is why we do what we do. This is the fullest expression of us. And as I said at the beginning, even if you don't have a business or a book or a blog or a thing that you're promoting on social media, there is a version of you who is living fully expressed in their current life. The version of you that is okay with saying to your partner, I don't want to do that. This doesn't make me feel good. One who has to say to your friends, I don't have capacity for that right now. That truth, that honesty, that is self-expression. And so many people like us are seeking freedom. Self-expression is the key. You only feel free when you feel safe enough to speak what's on your mind and in your heart. For the longest time, all I wanted was freedom. And I thought it was freedom from a job. It wasn't a job that was holding me back. It was me. It was me. I had put the muzzle on myself. I had said, sit in that corner, shut up, and don't say a thing. I was the one who said, I'll protect you if you just be quiet. But no more. Not today. Not tomorrow. Not ever again. I don't know if I'll figure this out. But I know that I won't give up until I do. And if that means doing this until my last breath, so be it. Because as I said before, I can't imagine life any other way. Thank you for listening to the Lightworker Diaries. If something stirred in you today, take a breath and let it land. To go deeper, you can subscribe to the written diaries on Substack. You'll find a link in the show notes. Until next time, be true to you.